Hello, my name is Bob. Welcome to a short stop on pool. It is time for a rack of the week by one of the best straight pool players in the world and the current record holder with a high run of 626 balls. Of course, that's John Schmidt. Now, this rack happened in 2018, so this is before he set the 626 record. He was known as only Mr. 400. Yeah, only 400. This rack is from a run at the Derby City Classic, and he was attempting to set a high run. The run begins with his break shot in the 8th rack, so he's on a run of 98. And I'll put a link to the complete run in the description if you want to watch the whole thing. So let's get into the rack. This is the second time that John has racked the balls. He's making sure that he gets these tight. He's got a below the rack break shot, and he's got an outside angle. The cue ball is just outside of this parallel line to the rail, or maybe right on it. And so the shot is to use inside spin and go 3 rails around the bottom of the rack. That's probably a 7 or 8 out of 10 of the force applied to that shot, and he gets great results. It's interesting to note that on this below the rack break shot, his cue ball hit the corner ball. And whenever you hit the corner ball, you often end up with this triangle of balls left in the rack area, because the energy is transmitted in this direction and then along the bottom row of balls, which ends up going in this direction. I know it kind of seems strange, but if you look at the table, there's 8 balls that came away from the rack. The 8 ball, these 2 stripes, and this 1 ball were all on this side of the rack. And these other 4 balls, the 3, these 2 stripes, and this ball, were all on this side of the rack. And that's a real common occurrence. Notice that despite how hard John hit the rack, none of these balls went to a rail and came back, except for one, and that's the 3 ball. The 3 ball was the top ball in the corner of the rack, and it actually traveled to the head rail and all the way back. Why is that? It's because the cue ball hit this corner ball, and most of the energy of the break shot was transferred along that row of balls into the 3 ball. So it's important, or it's at least interesting, to think about these things when you strike the rack. It helps you determine just how hard you want to hit it. Anyway, right now John is on a run of 99 balls. 7 racks is 98. We made the break shot, that's 99. So this is going to be his 100th ball. So John wants to make this 100th ball, and he's looking at this straight-in shot on the stripe. The record is 130 right now at this Derby City Challenge, and so he wants to beat that. Now, what I might consider is just shooting this striped ball and then having a shot on one of these balls in the side pocket, and then I could maneuver to use the stripe ball, one of these 2 stripe balls, in order to open the rack. But John sees something else, and he wants to end up using this 8, because we can get an inside angle on the 8 ball, then he can go into the rack. And he'd like to do that sooner rather than later when there are more balls available as insurance balls in the area. So he wasn't able to get that inside angle on that shot, but he's considering his options. He could shoot the 8 and then open the rack with the stripe. That's a pretty sharp shot. So he's trying to find another pattern on how to get there. He'd still like to have that inside angle on the 8 ball. And what he's going to end up doing is using several balls to get this inside angle. He's going to come over here and end up shooting the 3 ball, using the 3 to transition over to the 2. And then the 2 easily leads to the 1, and then he can get that inside angle. Now, I've preached about this in other racks of the week, where you're shooting 3 soldiers, you're killing 3 of your soldiers off just to get 1 position. And so possibly I'm going to have to rethink that. For example, does the 100% certainty of this route, getting him that inside angle that he needs, does that outweigh the risk of a shorter route that I might have taken to try and open up that cluster? Now John has the re-break shot that he wants, and any of the 3 open balls could be an insurance ball in this shot. Notice how softly he hit that. The cue ball just stayed pretty much there. Now, he's kind of fortunate that he has a very easy combination to continue, but he could have had a shot on this 9 ball in the corner or another shot, and it was more important to control the cue ball on that rebreak shot than to try and smash into them. You know, rotation games are about ball pocketing. Straight pool is about cue ball position, and that's why he shot that rebreak shot with the speed that he did. Now, John almost shot this straight ball in the corner, but he stopped and went around and took a look and then came back. So let's take a look and see if we can figure out what he's thinking about. What I see is that this pink ball is a problem ball. It's a blocker ball for these other stripes. And by the way, he has shot, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 balls, and now the rack is solved. So the remaining balls are open, and he's now working on his end pattern. What I see is that this pink ball is blocking the pocket for these 2 stripes. And these 2 stripes are blocking each other from going in the other corner pocket. In my opinion, that's the key to opening this rack. And if I was going to run the balls from here, I might shoot this pink ball knowing that that opens the pocket for these 2 stripes. And so I would probably want to play position to the rail and pass that stripe. So either one of those becomes my next shot. I also have the 6 ball as an insurance ball if I don't get good position on one of those stripes. John, on the other hand, is seeing more than me. He knows that that pink ball is a priority, but he sees an opportunity, look at that, to improve the break shot. Now he has a shot on several balls, and he's looking right away at this 9 ball, I think, in the side pocket. But there are other options. So now he's reconsidering. Now what I see at this moment is, what is the best key ball? And it's actually one of these balls or the 6 ball. Now the 6 isn't ideal. The 6 would be ideal if it was over here on this side of the table. So it's on the wrong side of the table. But it still can be a good key ball, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. One of these balls is my favorite, actually. So if you can remove the trouble balls, which is this pink, and then 1 or 2 of these other balls, then one of these balls in the rack area is open in order to pivot or transition your cue ball over this way for your break shot. That's how I see the rack. Now, based on what John did, he improved his break shot, and we're going to see in a moment he's going to elect to shoot this 7 ball, which I don't blame him, even though he's jacked up. Because, well, let's go ahead and let him shoot. The pink ball is a blocker ball. We've identified this. So the shot that he's shooting guarantees position on that trouble ball. But notice that the speed that he hit it with, he also could have a shot on this 9. Once the 9 ball is gone, the cue ball is free to position over here to shoot these stripes in the lower corner. Also, when he shoots the 9, it's very easy to play position on this pink ball in the corner. Only 4 balls left. We better be very specific. And what I see is shooting the 4 ball now. And then I want to bring the cue ball off the bottom rail to shoot this stripe in the side. Once, and the line to the pocket is here. So you want your cue ball to land on this short side of that, because then it's easy to hold your cue ball here. So you have a shot on the 14, and you can position your cue ball either straight across or to the rail and out on this 6 ball. Alternatively, here's the shot line for this stripe, and your cue ball's here. You can also, or if you get your cue ball on the line, you can also roll forward and shoot the 6 first, and give yourself a low angle on this 14. Hope I don't have too many confusing lines here. Here's the shot line to the pocket for the 14. So after you shoot the 6, if the 6 is your K2 ball, you can bring your cue ball to this side of the shot line and then transition over to the break shot. Let's watch what John does. Now, he's made a decision to shoot this shot. I know he shoots it, but look, he's down on the ball, and he gets up, and he walks over and takes a look at it. This is how important it is to be very precise on your final balls of the rack, on your end pattern. That's the mark of a champion, and that's something we all need to adopt into our games. And he got perfect. Now from this position, what I would prefer to do is to draw the cue ball back to the rail so that I can get this shot on the 6. And then I can move the cue ball from the 6 over to the angle on the 14 that I mentioned earlier. Instead, John is going to use the 14 as the K2 and the 6 as his key ball. So let's talk about using the 6 as a key ball for a second. You see him, he just looked at his angle for the 6. This is actually a versatile key ball for your break shot, even though it's on the wrong side of the table. But it's not ideal. Imagine if the 6 ball was here right now. It'd be stop shot, stop shot. That would be ideal. That would be perfect. But that opportunity was never available. This key ball's on the wrong side of the table. Now, I prefer shooting the 6, having the cue ball over here, so that I can shoot the 6 and bring the cue ball back to here for the 14 as my key ball. But let's look at what can happen for the 6 ball in this side pocket as the key ball. So here's the shot line. If you're straight in, you can draw straight back or cheat the pocket a little bit to get the cue ball back here. And you can draw back to the rail and off, and you've got a great break shot. That's straight in. What if you end up on this side of the shot line? That's the worst side of the shot line to be on, in my opinion. If you're just slightly on this side, it's actually not bad because you can follow the cue ball to the rail, maybe with some inside English, and back across. And again, I would go 2 rails because it's easier to judge your speed from this rail off to get the correct angle on your break shot. If the cue ball is a little bit farther on this side of this line, you have a good 2 rail route. You want to come deeper in this corner so that you can come off the 2nd rail and miss your break ball and hit the 3rd rail and come out. That's a lot of movement for the cue ball on a key ball shot. So this is my least favorite position to get. And I'm sure it's John's least favorite as well. As you can see, if you aim for the short side, you can still cheat the pocket and draw the cue ball back here. But if you end up a little bit further on the short side, you have a couple of routes. You can go to the head rail and straight back down, or, and I prefer this one much better, if you're way on the short side, you can go to the head rail and then spin to this rail and then out. And in that way you ensure that you're off the rail, and then you can play the speed control to make sure that you stay inside of this parallel line or on it so that you have a good break shot. Too often, if you try to send the cue ball up to the head rail and then straight down to your preferred position, you can overshoot it and end up with a really tough break shot. So it's always better to go that 2nd rail. I know that we're going to see John achieve the ideal angle on this key ball, and notice that he took a lot of time to check in that angle to make sure that he gets it just right. And John landed just inside of that shot line. Now he's going to draw the cue ball to the rail. Look, he's down on the shot, and then he gets up and checks. Look where he put his finger. So he's going to draw the cue ball to the rail and then off. So let's watch and see if the cue ball follows that path. Now he just got up off the shot for the 2nd time. And I've watched this before. I know what he's thinking about is he wants to avoid the scratch. So instead, he does this. In this way, he took out all risk. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the rack, straight pool is about cue ball positioning. It's about never letting that cue ball get into trouble. And I think that's the reason why he chose this route. He's going to pocket this break shot no matter what. Now he's just a little bit on the outside of that parallel line. And look, he's racking the balls again to make sure that they're tight. So once again, he's going to hit a corner ball this rack. So this break shot, he probably can't cue it high, even though he's going to hit it hard and it's going to deflect into that corner ball. He's not going to hit it low either. He'll probably hit it closer to center. And because he's hitting a corner ball in the bottom row, he's going to have the same rack distribution problem as the opening break shot. So he's going to hit this with a 7 or 8 out of 10 speed. Yeah, and you can see he's cueing at the center of the cue ball, not high or low. Wow, and even fewer balls came out of the rack that time. And if you noticed, this brown ball, which was on the corner of the rack, was the one that moved the hardest and the fastest because the energy transferred straight through this bottom row of balls. And that ball went to the rail and back. And that's what disturbed the rack a little bit more. So only 3 balls really came out. And then this corner ball and these other balls got moved from that secondary collision. He's kind of fortunate that the cue ball didn't scratch in this upper corner pocket. But hey, there's only so much you can do on a break shot. And as it is, he made it through his 8th rack. And so what was that? 98, so that's 112. And I know from this point he goes on to run a few more racks and he scores 168. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found that informative and helpful. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Check out my book, A Short Stop on Straight Pool. You can find it at shortstoponpool.com. And stay tuned for next week's Rack of the Week.